Around here, you never know one day to the next what's going to happen. But getting a call for flight assistance with regard to flying a camera drone would never be on my bingo card. But that's the position I found myself in Monday morning. I grabbed my equipment, jumped in the Malibu, and started making my way down to the track where some friends of ours were testing after the Speed Promotions event. Now, Phantom and I have been talking about doing some different things over the past several months, but since he and Sean are always on the road, it's difficult for us to collaborate. Phantom is not only the crew chief for Sean, but he also films and edits for their YouTube channel as well, leaving little time to do anything other than sleep. But lately, Sean's son Aiden has stepped up to start learning how to film and edit, and Aiden is interested in learning how to film with a camera drone, and that's where I come in. I told Sean I'd take some shots for him at the track and give Aiden some pointers. Now, obviously not everyone is comfortable with a drone flying over their head, but if you're a relatively good pilot, the people on the ground will hardly even know that you're there. Combining some good aerial footage with some decent cell phone shots can make for some really good YouTube content. The hardest part is knowing where to be to capture the footage before it happens. You have to be constantly thinking ahead, but the end result can be very rewarding. Sean and Aiden both are testing for Bowling Green next weekend, and when Aiden and I started discussing next weekend's race, I learned that I am partially responsible for a major financial setback in Aiden's program. Hey man, I'm so sorry.
Hey, all right, hey, I've lost way more than that. I promise. I was like, hey, as soon as I saw it was you in the finals, I was like, all right, yep, any amount of money, I don't care what, any amount of money.
Well, that pass I made the round before, I knocked that guy's head clean off.
For sure, no, that guy didn't even think about leaving until you were 2 cars out, and he was like, oh, I gotta leave. You timed it perfectly on a foot brake.
All right, I'm gonna try and make it up to you, okay? I'll try and make it up to you down there in Kentucky.
But then I had my hand up, and he goes, man, what makes you so confident? I said, that's the old man. Come on now.
You're killing me, bro. You're killing me.
And then when Billy come up, I'm like, yep. And then everyone goes, man, we're not stupid. We know who those guys are. I said, I bet you do. According to Aiden,
his financial losses last weekend betting on me has left him flying this ancient drone his dad bought him.
This is the same kind of drone that Phantom had whenever new drones were first like a big deal. That's like 10 years ago. So we have now found one, and it still works, so I'm gonna keep using it.
All right.
Eventually, yes. Eventually, for sure.
After consulting with Aiden about upgrading his equipment, it was time for me to head back to the shop to get things moving and start filming for myself. All right, so I'm back here at the house. This afternoon when Kenny gets here, I want to try and get the Biscane pulled in the shop so that we can get the transmission put up in it. I need to get a drive shaft measurement so that I can have the guys down at Super Duty build me a new drive shaft for it. And then once we get the car back up and running and make sure everything's okay, I want to take it into Jack's Wax, and they're going to do a detailed job on this thing. It's been sitting out here in the driveway for 2 or 3 weeks while it's been down, and it's pretty dirty. Although it looks clean in the videos, it's pretty dirty. The guys at Jack's Wax are going to help us out, give the car a real nice detail and a paint correction before the winter comes and picks it up, so that's really nice. Tommy's out here editing the video from last weekend, and I think Addie's out here doing shipping. Let's go check on him. Now, I've learned that when Tommy's in the zone, you leave him alone. So I decided to check in with Addie and see how her life has changed now that she has her own driver's license, her own car, and is now working 2 jobs to support her drag racing habit. Ms. Addie?
Yes.
Did you go to work this morning?
No.
You didn't go down to Mark's?
No.
You're working down there now, right?
Yes.
Did you quit?
No.
Oh, he just didn't need you this morning.
Yeah, I texted him last night and I said, do you need me? He said, no. And I said, okay. So then Mom's like, you need to go to Walmart for me before you go to Bill's. And I said, okay.
So you've been running errands?
Yes.
And then now you're doing the shipping here?
Yes.
How did you like your weekend at Trails?
It was fun.
Who was your favorite to hang out with? I heard Daddy Dave was hanging out with you a little bit.
Yeah, he literally took a drink of my coffee. Coffee stand was right across from his trailer and stuff. And I walked over to get my picture taken with him, and he's like, come here. And I was like, why? And he's like, give me your cup. And I was like, why? And he took it out of my hand and opened it and took a drink out of it. And I was like, okay.
That's sus.
Yeah. Sus. Yeah. I was not expecting.
Kenny freaking Powers, where did you get that shirt?
Jimmy Dale and Barry.
Why does that not surprise me? Did you have a good Father's Day?
Yeah, I had a great Father's Day.
Did you catch some fish?
Yep.
Good. You ready to get back to work?
Yeah.
We got to get that Biscane in here. Now that we have the transmission back from Lonnie at Extreme Automatics, it's time to get it back in the Biscane so I can get a measurement for the new drive shaft. Once Kenny and I rolled the car back in the shop, we started getting everything organized. The transmission has already been dyno tested, so all we need to do is reinstall the TV cable and put the transmission back up in the car. Kenny made sure to install the dipstick and tighten the cooler lines before we put the transmission all the way up in the tunnel. As he started installing the bell housing bolts, I noticed that we're going to need some new collector gaskets before we can put the exhaust back on the car. Since Mark's parts store is much more convenient than going to Jegs, I jumped in the El Camino and pointed it towards Buckeye Lake with hopes of getting ahead of Kenny's parts requests. However, I wasn't paying attention to how close it was to closing time. Got the damn side door locked.
Well, until we lock it, he's got to go bowling.
Oh, for the love of God. Listen, I tried to come through the side door, I jerked on it like I normally do and damn near pulled my arm out of the socket.
Geez, that'd have been nice.
I wondered why the sign wasn't lit up when I pulled in.
Oh yeah,
Wait,
he's ready to go.
The sign's not lit up? Did John not plug it in this morning?
Hell, it ain't been on all day. What kind of operation are you running here?
Half a asked.
Hey, everybody down there at the track, all the Street Outlaw guys are asking, how's Mark doing, you know?
I know. I didn't get down there. I got down one time during Saturday and took some stuff to Jimmy Dale. So
Did you really?
yeah.
What'd you take to him?
Yeah, some head sealer.
It didn't work.
Definitely not.
I saw he was driving something else.
Oh my God, that thing was smoking like a freight train.
Oh my God.
Be honest, was he actually going to touch Tommy though? That's the question.
I don't know.
I'll say, I heard Tommy's been on fire over there.
Yeah, Tommy's been doing pretty good.
That's what I heard.
Jimmy Dale's got this points thing all started up, and now he's floundering. As usual, it didn't take long for things to go sideways at Mark's. Listen, I can't use them damn things.
Yeah, I know. They're like putting cardboard in there.
If you're trying to get out of here today, you better get me some gaskets.
Oh no, I ain't going nowhere.
Now what, you don't have transmission fluid either?
I got some, just not as much as you want.
I need a case.
I got 2, 4, 6, 7, not 12.
Well, you're gonna have to owe me some.
Alrighty.
See if you can come up with a case of brake cleaner.
Oh, I got that for sure.
Now, when it comes to dealing with Thing 2, I've realized that you have to double check everything.
It's like a full case to me.
That's what I gotta do around here.
Can't have them gaskets till in the morning.
Well, a lot of good it did me to run down here. Why do you stock the junk ones that nobody wants?
I don't know. They fell off inventory or something.
The problem with Fords, they have to be replaced more often.
They just want cheap stuff.
Who wants cheap
The
stuff?
Ford guys.
That'd be you.
Sadly, that is me. I am in that group.
Evidently, Thing 2 was put in charge of ordering this year's calendars for the parts store. Anyway, I did manage to pick up just enough supplies to keep us moving forward at the shop. And when I got back, I was pleasantly surprised to find that Kenny had found some gaskets in my private stash. So you dug around in my archives and you found some. I forgot that I had those. Those came with the headers that we got for that dump truck. And we didn't use them. Well, we didn't use them yet. We're going to use them on the 64.
We're gonna use them now.
We're going to use them now. So the only thing we got left to do is put the exhaust on and,
Drive shaft.
well, I can go ahead and take that drive shaft measurement now. And then first thing in the morning, I'll call down to Super Duty and order up a new 3.5-inch drive shaft for this unit. And we should be just about back in business.
Should be ready to go.
All right, everybody, it is Tuesday. I'm headed to Uncle Bob's. Let's see, we've got a lot to catch up on here. First, there's 2 small block Chevys tied down on the back of this truck right now. One of them belongs to John Sears. That's the engine he dropped off the other day. The other is Jimmy Dale's engine out of Magic. I'm not sure when Jimmy Dale hurt that engine, but it's been down for a while, and he's just been trying to get it to Bob, and it made it as far as my house. That's Sunday. And so he dropped it off, and I've reloaded it on the truck, and I'm taking it to Bob's so Bob can take it apart and see how bad it's hurt. I'm not sure when, where, or how it got hurt, but it's hurt. So those 2 engines are on the back of the truck. I got 2 drums of fuel on the back for Bob's dyno room from Fuel Factory, a drum of methanol and a drum of F1. And let's see, last night, let me bring you up to speed on what happened last night. Last night, after we got the transmission up in the Biscane, we needed to pull Billy's S10 out of the stacker and pull the Biscane out of the shop to put Billy's truck on the lift and check it out, because at Trails last weekend, Saturday, Tommy and Billy drew each other first round, and when Billy's truck pulled into the burnout box, the track staff noticed that it was leaking profusely, and it was transmission fluid. And it turns out one of the transmission cooler fittings came apart. Luckily, we caught that before it caused a major accident. So we got the fitting fixed on Billy's truck last night. When I left the house this morning, the S10 was still on the lift. I called and ordered the drive shaft for the Biscane this morning. However, Super Duty is super busy today, and they weren't sure if they're going to be able to get to it today or maybe tomorrow. So the Biscane got pulled out in the driveway again. It's kind of sitting out there waiting on a drive shaft. But we're just about ready to fire the Biscane back up and test drive it once we get the drive shaft. Between now and then, I think we're all just trying to get ready to leave to go to Bowling Green. We're trying to leave tomorrow, is the last I heard, because Billy would like to be able to take Wyatt to the amusement park down there for a day. And just have some family time down there. So looking forward to that. But for right now, I'm headed to the machine shop, and Kenny and Billy are working on race cars, getting everything ready to leave, hopefully tomorrow. Poor old Uncle Bob has been working like a rented mule lately up at the machine shop, and the last thing he needs is more work to do. But we backed the truck inside and unloaded the 2 engines, and then pulled around out back to unload the 2 drums of fuel from Fuel Factory. That's when I caught my first glimpse of the new shop over next to the farmhouse. Now, Bob's original machine shop sat on this foundation, and when it burned to the ground years ago, he built the new shop that he works out of now. But he's been desperately needing some storage space for his own race cars. The Camaro typically has been stored inside his trailer, but now with the addition of the Nova, he's out of space. This is going to be super nice when you get this done. This is wonderful. You've needed this for a well, since it burnt down.
Yeah. It's actually feeling complete
Yeah.
to put something back in here.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing like the way it was.
So you probably need me to bring some equipment up here.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're just kind of getting into the throw of things of doing all the stuff we got to do.
Yeah. It's
You
time to
know?
get moving.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I backed the trailer in here and cleaning it up a little bit. I think we got a raffle coming for it.
Yeah, you're going to let go of this trailer?
I am going to let go of this trailer. I love it. It doesn't fit all my needs at now.
You bought that trailer to pull behind your dually, which you sold to me. And now that you've got living quarters in the motorhome, you don't need the living quarters in the trailer.
No.
You actually need more storage space in the trailer than what you've got.
Right, and I'd like to put a golf cart. I just need something longer.
Yeah.
And actually looking at a stacker.
Really? That way you can take both cars with
I
you.
can take both cars, and then just the other journeys I'm doing, I got 2 cars.
All right.
So
So be looking for that. We may be raffling that thing off.
yeah.
What is this thing? It's a 32 foot,
I think it's 34 foot.
34 foot.
Yeah.
And it's got living quarters in the front of it.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's got heat, air conditioning,
Bathroom.
bathroom. I lived in it for a few weeks down in Florida back when I first bought it. It's very nice. Got a TV in there,
Nice.
you know.
Kenny liked it. He
Yeah.
stayed in it the other night.
Yeah.
He said that was a hell of a lot better than his canvas condo. The next step for Bob's new shop is pouring concrete. But before he can pour concrete, we need to run some new drain tiles for floor drains in the shop. And I just so happen to know someone with an excavator on rubber tracks that's the perfect size for this job. I just need to borrow Bob's trailer to move it up here. All right, well, since you seem to be in need of an excavator, and I just so happen to have one, I'm gonna go get it.
Okay.
I'll bring it right back up here. So you've got one more thing checked off your list of stuff you need to round up. Now, Bob and I both have some dirt work projects that we need to attend to this summer. Unfortunately, my project has been put on hold. With all the rain that we've had lately, I can't get in or out of my job site because of all the mud. But eventually, my little dump truck and my excavator are going to be put to good use up at Bob's, doing some drainage and grade work around Bob's new shop. Between the two of us, Bob and I have just about anything and everything we could ever need to get these jobs done, with the exception of maybe one thing: time. You see, Bob's daughter is getting married in September, and they're having the reception in Bob's new shop. So not only do we need to get the shop finished, all the drainage work done, and the grade work, we've also got to get the driveway tuned up at Bob's house where they're going to have the wedding. So as you might imagine, in the next few weeks, there's probably going to be some excavating videos made on my channel. So the trip we're making this weekend down to Bowling Green may be my last opportunity to travel and race for the next couple of months. But I'm not complaining. I miss doing excavating work. All right, I think we got Uncle Bob all taken care of. He's ready to dig. So once I get back from Bowling Green, I may come up and help him dig those drain tiles and do some dirt work up here. Hopefully I'll have some time to do that, but I got to get that Biscane done. I haven't heard anything out of the drive shaft shop yet, but I figure they'll probably have it done about the time I'm leaving for Kentucky. But that's the way it goes. When we get back, we'll get it finished up. All right, guys, so made it home, had dinner, and I'm out here in the shop just kind of going over some things on the Malibu. We had a couple little problems with it last weekend that I didn't really mention in the video. One, it was so hot down there. It was really the hottest day that I've had my car out this year. And I had this new coil bracket made for the inner fender. Mike Lane made it for me. He did a perfect job. He did exactly what I asked him to do. But there was a little oversight on my part in that the header radiates a lot of heat, and it heats this aluminum bracket, and the coil was mounted flat on it with no space between the coil and the bracket, and it began to melt the coil. It started to leak this stuff that's, I don't know what you call this stuff that they insulate the coil windings with underneath this thing, but it began to melt this stuff, and it was dripping down on the lower or the upper control arm, and that's how I noticed that we definitely had a problem with that. So we're working on that. We've got another coil mounted up here, and it's got some air space between the coil and the bracket so that air can get in between the two of them and hopefully not have this problem again. The other problem we had was that the sock filter in the tank on the fuel pump, I believe, is starting to plug up again. I had this problem one other time, and we had to take it apart, drop the tank, and clean the sock. It was starving for fuel pressure, and it was leaning out. Billy worked on it a little bit for me down there, and I ended up taking the fuel line off and blowing air backwards to try and break loose whatever it is that's plugging up the sock in the tank. So tomorrow, I think we're going to go ahead and drop the tank out of the car and clean that sock out real good before we load the car up and take it down to Bowling Green so that we don't have any problems there. But just one of them things, you know, something like this, you drive it as much as I do. You know, there's maintenance that you have to do on it. And although I wouldn't think that that would be that much of a problem, for whatever reason on this car, you know, about every 10,000 miles you need to clean that sock, it seems like. So we'll get into that tomorrow, I guess. Now, originally we had intended to leave for Bowling Green Wednesday morning, but since that's been put off until Thursday, I decided to run down to Newark and pick up the drive shaft for the Biscane. I woke up this morning to a voicemail from Super Duty letting me know that it's ready to be picked up. So I added it to my list of things I need to get done before we leave for Bowling Green. Typically, when I order a drive shaft in the morning, they'll have it ready for me to pick up that afternoon. But yesterday they were so busy they didn't get around to it till first thing this morning. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
You're more welcome, man.
So with my new 62.5-inch long drive shaft secured in the El Camino, I turned to head home. Billy and Kenny already have the S10 and the Falcon loaded in the stacker, and they've already got the tank dropped out of the Malibu to clean out the strainer on the fuel pump and put it back together. When I got back to the house, Billy was ready to start loading the 55 in his double enclosed. Evidently, he's locked in a grudge race with Sean and Phantom. Pookie had just woken up from a nap while Tommy was starting a new nightmare. Kenny was in charge of supervising Tommy while Vicky took off to go run errands and pick up dinner. If I'm not mistaken, I think I heard something about a last-minute trip to the grocery. I, on the other hand, wanted to make sure I got my grass cut before it rains and before we're gone for 3 or 4 days. I also wanted to make sure I got a little trip around the block in the Malibu just to make sure that the fuel system's working properly and that the gas gauge still works after Kenny and Billy had the tank out of the car. It didn't take long for me to realize I needed to turn around and head back to the house. The sky was looking pretty ominous to the west, and the Malibu's already cleaned up and ready to load in the trailer. So I fired off a text message to Kenny to let him know, prepare to load the car. I want to get this thing loaded up and tied down with the trailer closed up before it downpours. With the Malibu in the trailer, that leaves my shop open to push the Biscane inside to get in out of the weather. I figure once we get back from Bowling Green, we'll get back on the Biscane and get it into Jack's Wax as soon as possible. But for right now, I need to put the two four-legged heathens in the office before we start getting thunder and lightning. Somehow I managed to get everything taken care of and the windows rolled up before everything went to hell. But Vicky wasn't so lucky. So I managed to get all my stuff done just before all hell broke loose.
Aren't you lucky?
It doesn't look like you were as lucky as I was.
I'm in the middle of Kroger getting my groceries, and I had looked at the radar before I went in.
Yeah.
And I thought I had plenty of time. But there was a power outage in the store. And I was like, uh-oh, it's closer. It's moving quicker than I thought. So I hurried up, checked out, got outside, got Wyatt in the car, and then it drenched me.
But you did get Pookie in before it rained?
Yeah, he's dry. Me,
Not so much.
not so much. Drenched. And you should have seen me trying to pick and choose which groceries were going to stay dry up front with us or get drenched in the bed of the El Camino.
I'm sorry.
Not ideal.
All right, guys, it's Thursday morning. I was going to try and finish this video up last night, but it poured down rain so hard last night you wouldn't be able to hear me out here because of the metal roof. So I waited till this morning, but we're all packed up. We're loaded. We're just about ready to leave. Billy's down in Hebron putting new tires on the front of his truck because the front tires on the Dodge are about shot. So let's see. The 55 is loaded. We're going to have a little grudge race between Billy and I think Aiden's going to drive the 55. I'm not sure, but that should be exciting. The two 55s couldn't be more different. Sean and Phantom's car and Aiden's car is a 427 Texas Speed LS with twin turbos, and Billy's is a 555 big block Chevy on nitrous. Their car, I believe, is on leaf springs. Billy's ladder bar, coilovers. So there's some pretty major differences, but it should be pretty interesting to see how all this shakes out. Both the boys are going to be running Little Gangsters, Billy in the S10, Tommy in the Falcon. Tommy's leading the points thing right now by, I think, 4 rounds. So he's in a real good position to claim the points championship on this and the $5,000 you get for winning if you win the points. So Tommy is loaded for bear. And actually, Billy's not far behind him. Either one of them may be able to clinch this thing. Just depends on how things shake out. Anyway, when we get back, I'll probably put a raffle up for Bob's trailer. I'm pretty sure he's about to pull the trigger on a stacker. So that way when he goes racing, he can take the Nova with him and the Camaro and put it behind his motorhome. So if you're interested in that, be looking on Facebook. And I only have one Facebook. It's my name, Bill Hoskinson, on Facebook. It's got a little blue check mark. If you see anybody else posting about it without the blue check mark, it's not me. It's a scam. And there's a lot of them on there. So I'm going to hop off here, get this video finished up, get it uploaded, and get on the road. See y'all in Bowling Green.